All right. Well, if you haven't noticed, I haven't recorded anything in a few months now. Not because I didn't really have anything to say. Obviously, I've been busy. Life's chaotic. It's always hard to make time for things. But really, I started to get caught up in this trap of feeling like, who's listening? Why does it really matter? It's a lot of work, mentally, emotionally. I pour a lot into creating content when I do it. And so it just became bigger and bigger in my head. And so the longer I go without doing it, the more impactful and the more powerful the recording has to be. If I haven't said anything in 3 months, what am I really going to say next that makes it worthy of somebody's time? And on top of that, I've noticed something else where I've got this issue. I even noticed it at work recently, and I never really pictured myself as a perfectionist because I am painfully aware of how imperfect I am. But I'm hesitating from taking any sort of action until I feel like it's perfect, until I feel like I have a complete understanding of everything that I need to do and everything that I want to say. And so it keeps me from doing anything. And that applies to this when it comes to recording content for the podcast. What I noticed at work was that there was a project that I've been working on for months. But I just found myself watching the same training videos and reading the same documents over and over again, trying to get a perfect understanding before I actually went out and did the work, because I was just so afraid of getting something wrong or messing it up, and it would, either reflect bad on the organization, or we would lose funding, or like all these catastrophes that could happen. And then I finally realized that, nothing's ever going to go right either if I don't do anything. And so I just decided, okay, I'm going to set time aside. I'm going to get it done. It might be messed up. I'll send it in and I'll get corrections, do better, and move on. And that's kind of what helped me realize that I need to start treating more things that way. And this is actually something that we've talked about in the past. On the podcast, we've talked about the idea of like a high recon and a low recon, or strategy versus tactics, and eventually coming to a decision point. And you would think that would mean that I'm aware of those issues and I can work through them, but man, it's been really hard for me. And like I said, a lot of that comes from wanting whatever I say to be meaningful and powerful. And so I need to have it together, and I need to say something that's going to solve somebody's problem. And the reason I'm bringing this up, and obviously this is a different setup than I've ever done, for the podcast. And this isn't meant to be like a vlog style video. That's not really my thing. But what I noticed was one of the things keeping me from recording is I feel like I just never have time to sit in the podcast room and record and have peace and quiet, no distractions, no interactions, nothing coming up. And so without that being available, I just decided, I've got some time. I just left one appointment and I'm going back to pick up 2 of my kids from my parents' house. And so I've got time to record a video. And so instead of waiting for that perfect opportunity, I'm just going to take advantage of the time that I do have, even if it's messy and the lighting isn't something I can control and the audio is not going to be perfect, and I don't have like this conference-worthy speech to put out for you guys. I want to talk about it because I feel like I'm probably not alone here. There's got to be somebody else who, with all good intentions and with a desire to do the right thing every time, keeps avoiding doing the thing. And so, I don't know, hopefully this is encouraging, or at least, reassuring that you're not the only one, as I stare right into the sun. But we'll work it out. Give me just a second here. And the other thing is, I care about this podcast and the brand overall, and what I'm trying to create here. And it's not just about interviewing other guys and having a good time, and it's certainly not just about sharing my life. Like I said, I'm not really interested in a vlog or being an influencer necessarily. What I want to do is create a space and an experience for people to understand what's important and how to go after it. And so to that end, I've been doing other things as well. If you follow along, like you've probably noticed, I've been involved in photography recently, and I really love that, and I'm spending more time on that and developing that skill, and it's a great time. I like it a lot. But from the outside looking in, that could kind of look like I don't know how to focus on something, and I'm always split in different things. And that's actually an insecurity that I've had, is that I'm not a finisher. I get distracted or bored, and I set out to do something, and I'm such a dreamer, and I have all these ideas. I want to do this, I want to do that, and then I don't follow through. And I don't want this to be like that, and I don't think that it is. I am struggling, obviously, with the consistency and execution on things, and staying on top of it. But what I'm trying to do is help people, like I said, understand what's important and how different that can look, and where to find it. And so what I love about the podcast is those opportunities to share authentic stories, feelings, struggles, to get to talk to other people and hear what they have to say. And then, weirdly enough, the photography side of things actually I find very relevant as well. It's kind of become like an act of worship for me, where I'm being more intentional. And it started out just with the photos, being more intentional with composition and lighting and subjects and the technical things. But what it's turned into is being more intentional with noticing the world around me, appreciating the small things, being grateful for the world that God has created all around me, and taking the time to give attention to the little beautiful things in life. And it's really helped my perspective. It's helped me slow down, especially in this season where life can be so busy and so chaotic, and time is going by so fast. My oldest daughter, she recently got her driver's license, and she's graduating high school this year, and the little ones just grow up so fast, and everything is always changing so much that, man, photography has actually helped me slow down and not just get caught up in the momentum of a fast, crazy life that has so many responsibilities and so many things taking place all the time. And there is power and there is peace in just taking that time to slow down. And so that's been something that's really important, and something that the reason I want to incorporate the photography into the podcast is because they're not disconnected to me. They're different expressions of the same goal, and the goal is to live an authentic, peaceful life that praises God for the things that are there, and finds purpose and works hard to make an impact in the world around me. And so those two things, while they're very different, and honestly, they're both things that I'm not naturally skilled at. I'm not a great speaker. I'm certainly not a super creative person, and I struggle with the technical sides of both of these things. But I'm noticing that struggle is part of what brings value in continuing to do it. And so there's obviously the quote from Marcus Aurelius, the obstacle is the way, didn't make sense to me at all when I read it the first time or the second time or the third time. But now that I'm starting to realize that in my own life, it's starting to actually make sense. Like, the obstacle is my fear of action and the tension between wanting to provide something meaningful and wanting to provide something perfectly. And so that tension and that internal conflict is the way that I am able to bring something of value to other people, is recognizing that struggle and recognizing that it is not unique just to my life. And another thing I was thinking about, how this is just kind of unfolding and teaching me as we go through these things is, when I was in high school, I read a book as part of like my senior project. For my senior project for high school, I started a worship team, and we played worship music at different conferences and church events and other venues. And so as part of that, I read books on worship and a relationship with God, and there was one book that talked about a complete lifestyle of worship and how this guy in a monastery would spend time worshiping, not just while he was washing dishes, but by washing dishes. Like, that was when and how he felt like he was giving praise. And again, back then that seemed so foreign. I liked the concept of being able to praise God and worship Him in all things, but I didn't understand how washing dishes accomplished that. And now something as seemingly as photography, through noticing like the way the light hits the hills, or a common bird or a bee, like these little things that I walk by every single day, God has created intentionally, and they don't deserve to be forgotten. And so noticing that is making a difference in my life and how I think about what I'm doing every day. I think it's changing how I interact with my family and how I value my time, because all those little things that you take for granted, there's so much beauty there, and it's worth paying attention to. And so maybe I'm bouncing around a little bit here, but like I said, the goal isn't perfection. The goal is to actually commit to not being afraid of the process, to lean in to the imperfections and flawed action, because flawed action is better than no action. And my heart's in the right place, and certainly, God knows my heart. My family, they understand my heart, and you guys are going to learn that too. So maybe it is going to be messy. Maybe it's always going to be messy, because life just is messy. But this is me kind of recommitting and trying to make it work, Hopefully this isn't just me rambling on and you guys got something out of it. And my instinct is to certainly apologize for the poor lighting, and who knows what the audio is going to sound like driving a car. But if it works out, I'm going to keep doing it, because it's what I can do, Anyways, leave a comment. Let me know if this resonates with you at all, or if it's something you've been struggling with, or it's something you used to struggle with and you overcame it, and now you've got some hot tips you can put in the comments. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Sorry it's been a while. I'm going to try and get better at it. So, thanks. Take care.